Welcome, Coach Conzo Martin, presented by University of Missouri Healthcare, Mid-Missouri's only academic health center, where yes finds a way.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, will you please stand and give a huge Mizzou welcome to our new basketball coach, Conzo Martin, his wife Roberta, and his son Chase and daughter Addison, the Martin family. Z. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chancellor of the Columbia campus at the University of Missouri, Dr. Hank Foley.
Mike, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what a terrific day this is. Did we decide we want to be successful? Did we? You bet we did. You bet we did. We're going to be successful. It's not enough just to be in the SEC. What do we want to do? We want to win in the SEC, right? Well, this is the first step in that direction. We're going to make sure that happens. Look at this house. Is this a great place? Conzo, this is your house now. This is your house, right? And we're looking forward to filling this house, and we're looking forward to having really great success and doing it with honor, and having these student athletes who work so hard, I watched them all season, really feel the same excitement that all of us feel about them and about their futures. I couldn't be more thrilled that this has turned out this way, and I just want to give so much credit to my friend and colleague, Jim Sterk. In fact, I'm going to give him more than credit. I'm going to say thank you to his team. I'm going to say thank you to Brian White, to Tim Hickman, and others. But more than anything else, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give him the microphone. And that's something that I don't do easily. So, Jim, here you go, my friend.
Thanks, Hank, and thanks, Mike. I really appreciate you all coming out today, and it is a great day for Mizzou athletics and the University of Missouri, as well as the entire Columbia community and the state. We're so excited to welcome and introduce Coach Martin, his wife Roberta, their children Chase and Addison, and Joshua, who's probably watching on the internet right now. But through this process, I really like to thank Chancellor Foley, President Choi, our Board of Curators for their incredible support throughout this process. It isn't easy, and a lot goes on behind the scenes, and they were just so supportive in order for us to come to this day. Also, our General Counsel, Steve Owens and Matt McNamee, couldn't ask for better support throughout the university, the system with our board, and all of you. Also, a special thank you to Brian and Tim, Sarah, Mary, and Nick. A lot of I can only be successful if I have great people behind me, and I do have a great staff that works very hard. And then also, and she'll kill me for this, but a special thank you to my wife Debbie, all our spouses. They put up with a lot on a regular basis, but then when we get a time-consuming issue like this, it adds to our crazy schedules, and I just really appreciate her support. and appreciate all those spouses out there and significant others of our staff members. The university, as Mike said, we have a great tradition in basketball, and it's evidenced by nearly 1,600 all-time victories, 35 postseason appearances, 25 conference championships, and numerous All-Americans and All-Conference Tigers throughout the years. All of us want to see our programs compete for championships and consistently play for postseason and represent Mizzou in the right way on and off the court. It often is stated it takes a village to raise a child. It's no different in developing a championship-level basketball program. It takes great support from the chancellor, from the president, from the board. It takes a great staff to support our student athletes and coaches. And it takes a great community and region to attend, support, and create an atmosphere at the games. Not only to just support the players and the coaches that are currently there, but also future players that are dreaming about coming to Mizzou and want to play at Mizzou. That type of support also impacts the university overall. With our enrollment, our future students get a glimpse of our great institution on the SEC network. And I know John Sunvolt's here. He does a great job on that. Where is John? He's also a former great there. It helps create interest to all our amazing academic programs, and we're able to showcase the university and get a glimpse and get people to want to come here and aspire to come here. And if it also takes the right person to lead the program. He needs to hire the right assistants, attract high-quality student athletes, develop the talents that's here to their full potential, and so that fans want to come and enjoy the game, so it's exciting and fun. And as the land-grant institution in the great state of Missouri, the institution's core mission is to engage and enrich the lives of every citizen of the state. I believe the athletics program at Mizzou has a key role in that engagement, and I take that mission very seriously. Today, we're able to check off all the boxes needed to develop a championship-level program with the hiring of Cuonzo Martin. Cuonzo, from the very start, looked like a great fit for the Mizzou community and our basketball program. I was looking for someone with passion, integrity, and experience. Cuonzo's been molded by his challenges each step of his life and strengthened to develop and prepared to have him prepared and experienced to lead this storied basketball program at this time in our history. You've heard many things about him. He was born in St. Louis, has deep roots in the region. He was a standout high school and collegiate player, coached at both high school and college, launched his coaching career as an assistant at Purdue before his first head coaching position at Missouri State. In 9 seasons as a head coach in Division I, his teams averaged 21 wins per season with 7 postseason appearances. Each program Cuonzo has taken over has become better and increased success. In short, Cuonzo's a winner on and off the court. I'm thrilled that Cuonzo and his great family are here in Columbia and at Mizzou. I look forward to them meeting all of you. Believe me, I bragged about you. This is a show me state, and I know since coming here, you all have been so great and gracious to me and my wife Debbie, and I expect nothing less, and I know you're excited to meet them. They are great, great people and will lead our program to new heights. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Missouri head basketball coach, Cuonzo Martin.
Thank you, Jim. This is a special day for me. It just feels like home. This is one of those days as you begin your coaching career, You start thinking, will I ever get an opportunity to coach at a place like Mizzou? And now to be home, just up I-70 is a tremendous feeling. As you all know, I'm a Midwest guy, and to be at home amongst family, friends, loved ones, supporters throughout the state of Missouri is a great, great feeling for me. And before I go any further, one thing I always have to do is introduce my family. And I have a lot of family here, as you can see. My wife, Roberta, who's basically my right hand, been a tremendous supporter, a wonderful lady. Now, my oldest son, Joshua, couldn't be here. He just came off spring break. He attends another university. He attends Purdue University, so he couldn't be here. So I imagine he's watching. And my other son, Chase, who's 15. And my daughter, Addison, will probably join the gymnastics team. And as well as my family, my mom, my brothers, my sisters, my uncles, just cousins, it's a tremendous feeling to be a part of this. It's just so humbling for me because it seemed like this thing has come full circle. I'm happy to be here. Also, I'd like to recognize people that are very instrumental in me coming here. Chancellor Foley, President Choi, the Board of Curators, Jim and Brian. Please give those guys a hand. And oftentimes it goes unnoticed, but I thought they did a tremendous job and were very professional and respected the fact that I was at another university. I thought they did an exceptional job, and I really appreciated that. Now when you talk basketball, I grew up watching Mizzou basketball. Norm Stewart was one of my favorites. When you put Norm Stewart and Gene Keady, I always watched Norm Stewart, my three favorite, Norm Stewart, Gene Keady, and Jim Calhoun. Because I felt like those guys were tough, hard-nosed. They demanded a lot of their players. They worked extremely hard. They competed at a high level. They played with passion, and they were tough coaches. So, oftentimes people call them old school. So I guess I'm an old school coach now. But I love the way those guys coach the game. And now as we fast forward, I think this is a wonderful place. Great tradition, great history. One of my best friends, Melvin Booker, played here. A lot of great players that played here. Great facilities. I don't think there's anything that Mizzou's lacking. I think we have everything to be very successful. I think we have everything to be the last team standing one day, and that's my goal. The things that we have to do to be successful, everybody talks recruiting, but that part is understood when you're talking about recruiting student athletes. But for me, it's more than that. We got to have guys that understand the passion of being a part of this program. Guys that want to be successful, not only on the basketball floor, but in the classroom. I mean, very successful. Not just to say I got a degree, but to have a successful career. And I think that is most important. And those are the things I learned along the way. My mom talked about that as a youth, but didn't really understand what it meant at that time. But now as a man, the importance of being successful and really trying to make our guys understand, not just basketball, but in life. Because my goal for all of our players is 20, 30 years down the road, that they're successful men. And that's, for me, that's very important. And the other step for us is in the community. We have to do a great job in the community because look at this, right? I've never been at a place like this, at a reception like this. So give yourselves a hand. I appreciate that. And the one thing I want you all to know as you attend today, in order for great programs to be successful, of course you need good basketball players, guys that want to be a part of a great program, but you need a great fan base. And we need everybody on board. Even those tough times, we need everybody on board because you have to understand our staff will do everything in our power to be successful. And we'll work to the midnight hour to be successful as a program. And we won't stop until we're the last team standing. There's a lot of work behind, and it's done the right way with a high level of integrity and character and with good people. So you'll be proud as a fan with our staff and our players because we'll do everything in our power to represent the right way because it's not just what we do on this floor, it's also what we do in life. And we're part of this community. And I tell our guys, whether you like it or not, you're part of the community. And we have to make it work together. Even on those bad days where you thought I made a bad call, a bad play, stick with me. because we're family, and that's how we become successful. And again, just to have an opportunity, there have been a lot of great coaches that come through here, but just to have an opportunity to coach on the floor that Norm Stewart coached on, even though it's a different arena, but just to be in his presence because of what he meant, what he represented, how hard his guys played. And I think his number 22 is retired. I wore number 22 at Purdue. That's probably why they gave me number 1, because he's the only guy who can wear number 22 around here. So they let me take the number 1. But again, he probably beat me in one-on-one too. So again, this is a tremendous opportunity for me. I'm grateful for everything, and I appreciate everything. And I would like to open up for any questions. Yeah.
Today's event, we have 2 microphones to those of you in the media. Just raise your hand. I ask you to please stand when you ask the question and give your name and affiliation. Let's begin here up front. Thank you.
Hey, Gonzo, Dave Matter from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Welcome to Columbia.
Thank you.
What about this job and this place, maybe compared to other places you've coached, is somewhere where you can see yourself for a long time and establish some roots?
Well, my wife and I, we weighed all the pros and cons. I mean, outside of it being close to home, I just felt like it was a great place. And I felt like you can be the last team standing here with the fan base, the tradition, the history, and you're the state school, so to speak. So I think you have a lot of things to be very successful. So being close to home was probably the last thing where we weighed the pros and cons. I just felt like it's a great place, great support. And I think the administrative piece was also key for me because I want to work with good people because in those bad days you have to be around good people, in my opinion. I think we have a great group of people here.
On the corner here or on the aisle, 3 rows back.
Gonzo, Frank Cusimano.
Hey, Frank.
How do you remember coming out of Lincoln and Norm Stewart's recruitment of you? Did you make a visit here? How do you remember that time period?
I didn't make an official visit, but I came on campus several times because, again, we didn't have anybody from East St. Louis on the basketball team when I was in high school. We had several guys on the football team and also guys that I grew up with that went to school here as students. So we had some good times here. But they recruited me. They came to East St. Louis. My high school coach, I love him. Benny Lewis, a great man, but he wanted me to go, so somewhere else. But it was great. I mean, I thought they did a great job. It was. They recruited me. Yes.
Next question, second row to my left.
Gonzo, Benjamin Hockman, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Welcome to town. For those who have not seen your teams play before, can you describe what type of style your basketball teams play?
Well, what we like to do, we like to play extremely hard. We like to. The one thing we talk about all the time is to play unselfishly as a team, to play together, and defend, rebound, and play as hard as you can play. And oftentimes, that's easier said than done. I mean, I think you look at our defensive numbers, we're probably top 10, 11 in the country every year. I mean, just taking pride in that part. Offensively, we put guys in the NBA, but a lot of it has to do with your skill level. My job as a coach offensively to put you in position to be successful. And I tell guys all the time, I hadn't shot a basketball in 20 years. So my job is to put you in position to be a successful basketball player. But the things that we cannot compromise is defending, rebounding, and playing hard.
Right here in the first row.
Gonzo, Gabe DeArmond with PowerMizzou.com. You mentioned this being a job that you'd had your eye on in the past, and obviously your name came up here a couple times. So what made this time the right fit on both sides, and when did it kind of fall into place that you viewed this as a reality?
Well, every opportunity I've had as a coach, I felt like that was an opportunity to do my job. And the most important thing is you're hired to do a job and do the job to the best of your ability. It wasn't like I was seeking opportunities, but when this came about again and when it presented itself, I just felt like for me, as you pray through things, this is probably it for me if it works out. If Mizzou keeps me for 20 years, then it's my plan to be here for 20 years. This is it for me.
First row.
Gonzo, Austin Kim, ABC 17. can you give us a timeline on when things really got serious with Missouri and when it kind of became, really serious that this might be a destination for you?
Again, one thing that's why I mentioned out of respect, and I really respect the way Mizzou went about it, because oftentimes there's a lot of conversations that take place behind the scenes and people call in, which if you occupied another job, they shouldn't call. So again, whatever they did it behind the scenes. And then obviously my representation, probably the last week or so, when they made the decision that here's an option. And for me, I don't get, maybe my wife did, but I don't get caught up in what's on social media. I don't read any press clippings, so I was just doing my job coaching a team. And then when they presented it, just, again, an opportunity couldn't pass up. Because I thought all the things worked out right and just so happened to be at home. Because I thought even if it wasn't at home, everything was great. But now all of a sudden it's close to home. And again, I pray that this is my final stop.
Coach, a familiar face on the aisle about 4 rows back.
Hey, Zoe.
Hey,
Just remember back to Springfield, your first job as a head coach. What did you learn about winning championships there?
Oh, I thought it was a tough job. To be totally honest with you, and if anybody out there wants to get into coaching, don't do it. But I felt like that was the toughest thing for me as a coach my first year at Missouri State. Wonderful people, great place, but I thought it was extremely hard because it's my first time as a head coach, and there's so many unknowns because oftentimes we have all the answers as assistant coaches, and then you move over to that one seat, and there was not many people I could communicate with because you're the boss. You're supposed to have all the answers. Everything is supposed to be right. We won 11 games that first year, and I thought it was tough. I just said, man, this is. So you have to fight, you have to work, you have to be around good people. And for me, even in choosing a staff, you have to have people that you can lose with. And what I mean, of course, nobody wants to lose, so I'm not saying that, but on those bad days, we have to have a great relationship so we can push forward. Because oftentimes when you're building a champion, you have rough patches here and there. So I got to be around good people.
Coach, right in the middle of row 2.
Conzo, Danny Jones from the Columbia Tribune. I was just going to ask, what were your takeaways just about the Southeastern Conference after coaching 3 years at Tennessee?
Oh, it's a great league. You see, they have 3 teams in the Sweet 16 right now. The one thing I thought when I was in the SEC before, I didn't think the league got the credit it deserved as far as the basketball piece. And oftentimes they would say, well, because the football was so big and they didn't value basketball. But you had great coaching. You had a lot of guys that played professional basketball. It was a physical league. I think it's a great league. I really do, and I think the fans support it. Great locations, and I think for any league, you want to be in a league where you have multiple teams playing the NCAA tournament because everybody have a chance to have success. As you can see, you have 3 teams in the Sweet 16.
Right here on the aisle, row 2.
Conzo, Bill Pollock, Missouri Net. If you had an opportunity to talk with the student athletes and just tell us what your first impressions are.
Wonderful young men. I talked to them probably about an hour ago. I mean, obviously great guys. And I don't want to necessarily get into specifics of what we talked about, but the biggest key is if losing basketball games, if that's the worst thing they'll go through in life, they'll live a great life. I mean, really. I mean, seriously. They're successful men. Coach Kim could coach. Stuff happens, and then all of a sudden, my wife says it all the time, losing is mental. We have to get better as a program and as a team, but great guys. And my thing with those guys, I said to them, hold your head up high, have character, have integrity, and we'll get where we need to go. But for me, is to understand who they are. You have to walk a certain way. Don't allow losing to dictate or determine how you move and walk as a young man.
Row 1 on the aisle. Coach, right in front of you.
Thank you.
Coach Martin, Todd Palmer with the Kansas City Star. I just wonder, your previous job at Missouri State and your job now, or your previous job at Tennessee, how much do you think that will help you acclimate to Missouri and maybe get this program up and running a little quicker?
Well, again, like I said to the guys, I said, we all have a new slate here. I don't know what the record was last year. I don't know what happened last year. They lost a lot of close games. Anytime you beat Vanderbilt here by 20, And then, stuff happens, so that means you're good enough. The parts are there. So that means that we got to improve our confidence. We got to get bigger, stronger, faster, and all those things. But it's work to be done. I don't necessarily I haven't looked at anybody in the league or what they have or don't have. I'm consumed with our team, and I think we have a chance to be successful. And I'm not in the business of waiting 3 and 4 years. I just think we have to work and get it done, because if you're physical enough to do it, we got to get it done. And I don't think there's any ifs, ands, buts about it.
Good time for a couple more questions. Up here in front, Gabe DeArmond in the first row.
Coach, I know it's day one, but can you kind of prioritize your next few weeks as far as getting to know these guys, recruiting, and signing a staff?
Well, I'll be in tears throughout the night because my family's going back until my kids get out of school. So, I'll be here solo working, which is always fine, because those first 3 weeks for me, just you hit the ground and run. You forget where you're sleeping at sometimes because you're just moving. But I pretty much will be out the Midwest just recruiting. But first and foremost, I'll meet with the players tomorrow and the next day. Then after that is just hit the ground running.
Back row.
Coach Brendan Wiese, KTRS in St. Louis. If you could, just your philosophy on recruiting. While at Cal, you recruited an individual just a few miles radius, a 5-star kid inside the Bay Area, while also recruiting a kid from Georgia several thousand miles away. How do you prioritize recruiting nationally and then within the borders of your home state as well?
Well, the one thing I try to stay away from is cliches and sound bites that make it sound good. I try to be sincere as possible. But Mizzou is not just a national brand; it's a world brand. So when we recruit, we're not just recruiting in the United States; we're recruiting across the world. And I think we have to understand that and get the right student athletes to fit what we're trying to do. And those 2 guys you mentioned, that was about relationships. One of them I knew when he was 14. Now, obviously, the guy was a local guy, but just working extremely hard, building relationships, and helping them see what we have to offer. And this is a great place. And again, one of the things I want everybody to leave here with as fans, and it's very important that we understand this piece, when recruits see our basketball brand on TV, when they come to campus, when this arena is filled up, it helps me do my job. And I think those are the things we have to understand.
Coach, row 4.
Coach, Scott Lunty from Quicks and Crescent Moberly. Kind of alluding to the previous question, what do you see on the Missouri high school basketball scene?
What per NCAA rules, I can't speak specifically about an individual, but it's great basketball. We had our battles when I was, grew up in East St. Louis. We had our battles on this side of the river, but a lot of those guys now are coaches, friends of mine. But throughout the state, tremendous basketball, great coaching. Not only that, but they have great summer league coaches. But I think throughout the Midwest, there's a lot of good basketball. And for us, we want to start in the state first and foremost, but we got to go all across the world pretty much to get ball players.
We're going to stay in that same row and then come up front here in just a moment.
Coach, Matt Michaels of KTGR Radio here in Columbia, welcome. I want to ask, did you seek out any counsel when you were considering to take the Missouri job of people either who had been here or within the profession, or was it pretty much an easy personal decision for you?
Truthfully, my counsel, because it happened so quickly, was my wife, really. Just to be totally honest with you. So give her a lot of credit for that.
Our final question comes from the aisle over to our left.
Hey, Coach, Darren Hellwedge with KBIA Radio here in Columbia. You know this is a fan base and a university that's hungry for winning basketball, but you've also talked about integrity. Jim talked about some of the other expectations. Talk about the conversations that you've had with Chancellor Foley and the other people here about the academic standards and about the other standards beyond just win basketball games that are expected of you here.
Well, again, for me, and I try to stay away from, again, I ask questions because it's part of my job, and I read the news when stuff is presented to me. But when I was at Missouri State, if I'm not mistaken, we graduated 8 out of 9. When I was at Tennessee, 11 out of 11. Here at Cal, and we got 5, so it'll probably be 10 out of 10. I don't consume myself with what took place if I wasn't a part of it. My job is to do what we need to do right now, because I always look at that as an excuse. I understand what took place, figure out a way to make it work and move forward. I just try not to consume myself with anything negative and anything that slows me down. So pushing forward, I ask questions about
what has taken place, and now we have to make progress and move forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for our head basketball coach, Conzo Martin.